All Access Network Television presents Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murderers. All Access Network. John Douglas, a former FBI special agent and criminal profiler, said that a serial killer is the human manifestation of evil in its most pure form. This reflects the chilling nature of serial killers as seen through the lens of a criminal psychologist. This is an 8-week special. Don't miss it on All Access Network Television. The opinion expressed here do not necessarily reflect the views of the network production company. Viewer discretion is advised. This program contains violent content which may be too intense for some viewers and listeners. Viewer-listener discretion is advised. This week on Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murderers. Charles Manson, cult leader.
How's it going, Blaine?
What's going on?
You got a baby face. You shaved.
I know.
Baby face. Well, are you ready to talk about Charles Manson?
I'm going to do the best I can.
It's going to be intense. But I know it's not. Just listen, if your voice gives out, go to the private chat and type in there, and then I'll speak for you, okay?
Okay, no
but
problem.
Tonight we've got our very special Thomas Gormley. Go. Why is it not going? There it is. There he is.
I was hiding.
Yep.
Oh, there's Gwen.
And now we've got our very special friend, David Oman of Oman House. He lives on CeeLo Drive, and Miss Sharon Tate is his special guest all the time. I guess you would say roomies with Mr. David. There's David.
Hi, David.
So as many times as we've talked, David, I don't like it whenever we go so long and we don't talk. You know, I always look forward to having you back. So welcome back. And have you had any activity at the Oman House?
Since we've spoken a lot.
I'm sure. I figured. Do you feel that, I feel personally that Halloween has, when old timers would say, you know, the veils are thin.
Yeah.
I could see a lot more. I could feel a lot more. And I wondered about your house. I wondered how it was doing and, you know, what kind of adventures you've had.
Well, I've had a lot of adventures. I mean, since I've spoken to you as recently, I would say as March of this year.
Right.
I came upon having a group of social media influencers. Now, it was an eye-opening experience to realize what social media influencers are. I thought they were just, we're going out to a location and we're talking about this venue and no. That's not, these were none of the like of that. These people were rabble-rousers.
Oh, no.
And let's just say they poked the bear, and the bear being the Church of Scientology.
Oh, God.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know who the hell they were until they got here. And I said, so what do you guys do? He goes, we go to La Poubelle. I said, what the hell is La Poubelle? What is this? And he goes, it's a restaurant. It's like, and what do you do with this restaurant? We pick it. And it's like, what? Well, the owner was a big fan and supporter of the guy from that 70s show whose name I forgot, who was
that guy.
Danny Masterson.
Danny Masterson. And the owner of that restaurant was a supporter of Danny and also a Scientologist in trying to get him cleared of the criminal wrongdoings, which he's now in jail for. And I said, oh my God, is that what he goes? Oh yeah, we rattle the cage at the Church of Scientology.
Ooh.
And I'm like, are you serious? Oh yeah, that's what we do. And I go, I said, they're bigger than the gosh darn Catholic Church, and I wouldn't mess with the Catholic Church.
You've always got something happening at the Omen house. It just never fails. Poor guy.
That's not the quintessential point of the remark of why I'm mentioning this moment. So we're all talking. One of the kids asks me at the dining room as I'm walking into the kitchen, has anybody ever stolen from you? And the first person who pops into my head was Lindsay Lohan. So I begin to tell him the story of Lindsay Lohan from 13 years ago. and so all these others, there's like 6 of them. The other six come around the pass through at the dining room into the kitchen, and I'm talking, and we're all da-da-da-da-da-da. And I got to the point where I said, when I opened the door, I saw Lindsay, all the air left the tires. And right at that moment, the front door unlocked itself and opened up. And no rainstorm yet. It was pouring rain in March. And it was like, we all just said, and we have it on video from 4 cameras.
What?
The 3 outside to show there was no one out there.
Yeah.
The 4th camera is in the dining room, which covers the dining room into the kitchen and the front freaking door. They were 7 feet from the front door, and you could hear the door unlock and open on its own from all cameras. The front door camera, the 2 outside cameras, there was no wind even. We looked.
That's intense.
It was crazy. And I said, guys, that's never happened. And here's the kicker. I said to them, every time you guys come in and out of the house, I said, you forget to lock the front door. I said, we're on a street where some 55 years ago, 5 people plus a pregnant, one of them being a pregnant woman, was killed. I said, why do you not pay attention to shut the freaking door and lock it when you go outside? So I purposely made sure the last time before that happened to shut the door and lock it.
Yeah. So for sure from your habit of locking the door, that thing was locked. And as you're telling your story, they unlock it and open the door.
It's like almost like they remember that incident with Lindsay.
Oh, yeah. They were letting you know, yes, we have your back.
That chick is a disaster. The spirits are like,
you may leave. That's bad.
Yeah, she didn't make friends with the spirits here. She was a bit like, spirits like,
oh my God,
who is this prima donna? She wants us to perform for her. We're out of here. Goodbye.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't blame her there at all. Oh my God.
I like the way you described my one of my many unseen house guests, the most famous of all of the unseen.
Oh, she's so beautiful. And in spirit, she is too. She hasn't changed at all.
No.
So one time I was kind of talking to her last time you were on, and the song "Only the Good Die Young" kind of popped in my head, and I was like, okay, I hear you, Sharon. She's always beautiful. Oh my goodness, she would have been such a great mom. I wish we could have seen it. She's still with her baby though.
Yeah.
They're
She's
together.
Still being a mom. Yeah. You're right. She's still being a mom.
So David, excuse me for the delay. This is Thomas Patrick Gormley. He's known as Archangel. He's known as the Archangel of the Paranormal because he actually likes to do spiritual counseling for the dead. So if there's something that's left over from their lives that they're hanging on to, something that they need peace with, or something that they don't know about, that maybe it would set their basically take their burdens out of their mind, that type of thing. That's what Patrick does. And he's also got a very strong background in the prison system and in cases. So he's a profiler basically. And Blaine Rohan, he's my co-host, as you know, and he's got a master's in history. And his first paranormal investigation was the Manson cult leader, the whole thing that is Charles Manson. So it's intense. That poor little fella, he didn't have a chance from the start, and he had natural talent, and it just made a really bad recipe. Also, this is Gwen Johns. She is our new producer for the show. Since we were doing Family Spirit International back in March when you were on, we started All Access Network Television, and we stream on 6 different platforms And so we've got a really big following for that. And so this is our special from Family Spirit International. We're doing serial killers, supernatural, and murderers. So we're only doing a little 8 weeks, like a little feature for the holidays. So I begged Thomas to come on. He's fantastic. So do you ever hear from Jay? What's happening? What did you hear?
I don't know. As we were talking, I saw something like dart by out of the corner of my eye in the room next to me, and I'm like, what the hell was that?
It was Jay.
I was about to say Jay because I was asking you.
Sebring, God damn it, don't mess around on that room. Stick your ass over here.
He knows where he's supposed to be. He's
He's
messing with you.
Sebring, it would be nice to see your face again.
He's laughing at
I've
you.
ever seen with Sebring.
He is.
Apparition. And that's 20
He's
years
so
ago.
he is so handsome.
He is cackling right now.
He loves to mess with you.
Oh,
Now,
yeah,
see,
he does.
I saw the episode that you did early in the paranormal reveal of your home, and you were talking about how you were in the bed asleep, and you looked over, and there's a man standing there, and then it hit you. Oh my God, this is Jay Sebring.
No. Time. I saw the apparition. He's standing there with his left arm extended with the index finger pointing out.
Oh, yes. Well, do tell. That's your story to tell. Sorry.
No, I didn't recognize him. That was the kicker. I didn't recognize him because you see my hair is straight. Well, Jay in photographs had straight hair, but in reality, sorry, Jay. In fact, Jay had naturally kinked hair. So he created hair relaxant back in like 1964 when he started his hair salon so that men with kinked hair could put it in and get straight hair, because in the 60s, straight hair was the look.
Oh, yeah, the Beatles, all that long hair.
But straight, not wavy, not kinky, but straight. And Jay had naturally kinky hair, so he made hair relaxant. So when I saw him, he had this kinky hair, and I'm going, I didn't recognize him. 3 months later, doing research for the book, which I finally made, this book, I went and found a photograph at the LAPD archives, and it said Jay Sebring. It's like, I flipped over because with his natural hairstyle, I'm going, now I get it. That's who the hell it was. So at the time, I didn't make the connection that it was Sebring. That's what I was saying.
So,
yeah.
Do we know the order in which people passed, or did we ever get to that point? Do you guys know?
I know.
Because I know that Abigail Folger was outside, and we do have a disclaimer, by the way, that we've already played, so we can discuss this, and it's, people need to know. But I just really, I don't like glorifying the kill itself, but I do like to analyze, and I can't figure out how it happened.
All right. I got to just chime in because I'm being told if your references point is that book Chaos.
I haven't seen that one.
All right, then you haven't, because in that book they lay out that Stephen Parent is the last person to die.
Really?
And
no, he was the first one in. That on the way in they killed him because he could identify them. I know that.
Right. There's a book out called Chaos. That's
Chaos. Okay.
One of the let's just say claims is that that he was the last to die, and because he ran into the post on the railing on the outside of the property where the parking was, and yes, he nicked his car. Then he did that because he was scared and saw the murders, and by accident put his car in reverse and floored it. When in fact, if he would have done that, he would have flown over the edge of the hill and gone down the mountain.
Wow.
Stephen Parent was first, then came Abigail Folger, then came.
Did they chase her out of the house, or
they chased her out of the house? Susan Atkins was stabbing her multiple times. She said famously, "You can look, bitch, you can stop. I'm already dead."
Yep.
That's what Abigail said. Per Susan
Oh my God.
And then Wojciech ran out after her After Abigail, he got tackled and slammed, and then as the back of the skull was bashed in, famously enough, because he took the 22 caliber buntline revolver, which is a long-barreled 22 caliber pistol, and bashed it, used it like a hammer, popped the two handles, the two sides of the handle grip off the gun, and basically bashed the back of the skull in. Then came inside, killed Sebring. Then Sharon was the last to die.
Yep.
I thought Wojciech was going to get away when I was reading the story the first time.
So did he.
Yep, sure did. He still thinks he got away.
Yeah. He's still
Bless his
running.
heart.
We've had people here 20 years ago when we did the first paranormal investigation with psychics that we didn't tell them anything about the house. Unlike shows where we trot them out, we tell them locations, like, no. Excuse me. I brought in 3 psychics from different locations one night. So none of the 3 had any connection to the other. One comes in, she's blindfolded, she's brought in. We just shoot her randomly. She goes to the house. One of them said, "I see a man. He's foreign and foreign in nature, darker skin." And he says he's running. He's trying to run away, but he can't. And she just kept on saying that. Was like, holy crap.
Well, that was the image that I got. Mm-hmm. I read the book Helter Skelter, and is it a good one?
Yes.
It's the only one.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
It's the only accurate assessment of what took place, including the testimony of the murderers. Everything else that's written 30, 40, 50 years later is trying to make a twist, and everybody, as I said, whatever the original testimony was, you got to go with. Why?
Exactly.
Because after 10 years, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in prison, they didn't have nothing new to sell. So they're trying to sell a new story. Yeah. But the fact is you can't sell yesterday's news. And that's what it is.
Nope.
Thomas, what are you thinking? I see your face. What you thinking?
Getting a phone call.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, no problem.
I think a lot of it is looking into the house and what happened. A lot of the backstory is the original owners of that house before, Sharon Tate lived there, and Roman Polanski, was Terry Melcher and Candace Bergen. Now, Terry Melcher was a signed rock bands and things like that.
He was Doris Day's son.
Yeah, and there was a
promise. He?
Yes. Well, Melcher promised, or there was some kind of a thing when Manson had that song pretty much stolen from him by the Beach Boys and renamed.
Yes, he did.
He would get a record deal, and there's a lot of talk about how Manson actually came to the house looking for him, didn't realize he didn't live there anymore.
Yep.
And somebody to get rid of him says, "Oh, he lives in the back, beach house." And when they get back there, he's not there. He's always out of country. Won't be back for a year. Just trying to get rid of him. So I still think he thought he was there, and I really think Sharon Tate and all them were killed, thinking that he sent those people there to get revenge, as opposed to cover up with Helter Skelter.
Plus the fact that he had been in that house many times with Dennis Wilson and Terry Melcher. Because Manson bought them drugs and girls. And that's how he knew the house so well. Yeah. And also, what happened with Terry Melcher is he came out to Spawn Ranch and told Charlie he would let him record 2 songs at the ranch. Yeah. And he recorded his 2 songs. And Meltzer basically told him, "Dude, you're a great singer, but there's too many folk singers right now. I couldn't sign you." Yeah. So that pissed off Charlie to the point where he's like, "I'll get all these people." Because he thought he was going to be a multi-millionaire. He thought he was going to be the next Bob Dylan.
Yeah, he did.
Well, that's the disrespect he felt. That's part of his psychosis, was even growing up in and out of prison he's been. And one of the big things in prison is respect that inmates have amongst each other. Him growing up that way and everything he's been through, his whole life is about respect. And he was in prison. He had no control. There's a lot of things that were done to him. And I think when he came out, the respect and then wanting to have control took over his life. And that's stuff.
When he came out of juvie, he cried and said, "No, don't let me out. I don't know how to survive out here."
He said that.
And
He said
well,
that.
he proved that.
He said that after he got out of real prison too. Don't let me go, because I will be back here.
Yeah.
Bless his heart. That's a sad thing. And he was so tiny.
He was like
He's a
5'4".
little man.
He was a
Yeah.
fidget. He was a little fidget.
Bless his heart.
Oh, bless his
It's
heart.
so sad. Oh, look what I found.
What?
There's Doris Day and Terry
Melcher.
You can see that that is definitely her son. Excuse me.
Told you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy because you think about it. If Melcher still lived there in Candace Bergen, we wouldn't have had Candace Bergen for the time that we had her. It would have been a totally different thing.
Yeah.
But, but the whole revenge thing even goes to the La Bianca house too.
Yes.
The next door neighbor, Harold True, was renting the house while he was getting his master's, and he met Charlie hitchhiking after he got out of prison for something else. And then the whole family started living there. And then he says, "Oh, can we stay?" And he's like, "No way." He kicked them all out. And I think there was a revenge there because he lived right next door. They probably went to take him out because of the disrespect at the same time under the guise of helter skelter. And he wasn't home, and the next door neighbor's light was on, and that's how they chose him. There's a lot of speculation with that too.
Yeah, Charlie walked in the house, tied them both up, then went back to the car and said, "Make it look like black people did it."
Yeah.
Yes, because of the black cats.
Yeah, the Black Panther whole thing at the time.
Panthers.
Well, at the time,
Sorry.
I know, black. But at the time, they did. Of course, they were doing a lot of LSD. There was talk about how they listened to the White Album and really pulled that apart with things like Helter Skelter, the Piggy
that's insane.
and all that. But they were also, as it's funny, it was talking about Scientology. There was a push with that within the group and how he developed his cult and how he brainwashed some of these people and took control and all that. And, that's hence putting pig on the door, part of Piggies and all that. They did try and make it look that way, where a lot of these people that were going to be killed, the ones he was getting revenge on, or these other people that ended up getting in the way, they're all higher society.
Yeah.
And
they actually
they wanted to make it look like that to get the onus off them.
They had
Crazy.
A list of celebrities that they were going to go kill. They wanted not only the two houses they did, they wanted to go to other celebrity houses and do the same thing there.
Yeah.
This sucks. I can't talk that well. This is one of my favorite subjects ever.
Yeah.
I know, hun. I know it sucks.
Sorry, Blaine.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Yeah, you're fine. There's purpose behind that with going to, when you're in that position to try and take power and trying to make things look like something else. Yeah, you want to do high profile people, especially.
Yes, you do.
At the time they didn't have the internet like we do to get the information.
Oh, he's back.
So.
David's back. Sorry, buddy. I didn't see you come in. I wanted to throw this up and ask your opinion really quick. Sorry, I didn't see you come in there, David.
Okay, I slipped in.
Don't do that. Luna, quit. She was trying to take my watch off, y'all. She has been so bad today. Anyway, what happened in 1968, the Beach Boys recorded "Never Learn Not to Love" in their private studio with Manson there, but not participating. But then the Beach Boys changed the song by adding backup vocals, piano, guitar, bass, drums, organ, and sleigh bells. Okay, right? But man,
the whole thing. I think that's hysterical.
Then he got mad because they changed his lyrics. Yep. And but according to Dennis, whoever Dennis is, I guess the Beach Boys guy, right? Yeah, that's right. Manson gave up his official writing credit in exchange for cash and a motorcycle, but they didn't give him his credit for the doing the song because of his
was of Manson taking over the Dennis Wilson's house on Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
Oh,
you guys know what the original name of the song was.
I find it so amusing in such a way. Going, yeah, that stands to reason. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
What did you?
This isn't the present day. See, people try to use present day's view of what the hell was going on then. Ain't the same. And the people are still bullshit. That's nonsense. This was, I mean, I had to break the news to you. It was not like it is today. And I'm not making a political statement. I'm just telling you, generationally speaking, you guys have no fucking clue what you're thinking about when you say, well, we wouldn't have done that today. It's like, today is not the way it was.
Exactly.
It was different. It was so different. And people were petty. And people were different than they behave now. There's just a total. You have the internet.
And people on drugs are not people when they're sober. People have different personalities, and they can actually. And one of the reasons why I wanted Tom here is because they can actually become insane whenever they are inebriated or mind altered, and that's where I think we are, because
there's a lot of that's being said about Manson and drugs and how he was able to control the family. I got big bad news for everybody. There is no single narcotic agent that can make you kill somebody. And I'll tell you who's the best example of what that reasoning is behind and what that statement is backed up by. If the CIA couldn't manufacture and couldn't utilize any narcotics of the 50s and the 60s, and let's be honest, they tried diligently to get people to become automatons, and they tried drugs, LSD. They tried everything under the sun. Nothing, they said, determined that they could control a human being with, even hypnosis, to kill somebody. So the idea that Manson got them to do because of drugs is bullshit.
Well, no, you're right in a way there, David. Drugs or anything. My big studies on cults. I've done a lot of studies on cults, and a lot of drugs happen to soften people up to get to what they're really about and what they're lacking, and the parts of them psychologically that they're weak on. And this type of guy saw that psychologically and jumped on it. When you're in your most relaxed state, yes, there is part where drugs are used to create a psychological bond. But in the end, from what I hear, is there was a lot of threat, especially from people like Bruce Davis, Steve Grogan, Clem there, and all that, his lieutenants. Those guys were killers. And if Charlie said, "You don't do what I say, you're dead," that's fear. And people will kill out of fear.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what happened with this cult.
Yeah, but but the thing about Manson is there were things in the 70s cults that were called like Est and Lifespring. They didn't use anything of drugs. Now, first of all, drugs were of that time period. They were prolific. They were of that young generation. So that's why drugs were so prolific at the event. First of all. Second of all, he didn't have to soften anybody up. See, this is the misconception. Let me just finish, because having been of that and seeing it firsthand as a child and being very aware of stuff, people go, "How do you know?" It's like, I was conscious of what the fuck was going on around me. And I'm telling you right now that these kids all came from what we would call now broken homes. And there was something called this generation gap, where the parents were so strict and observant of corporal punishment, smacking the kids with a leather belt or a switch, which is a long stick that you basically whip the crap in the kids. These kids basically left their families. So they were runaways. When they were looking for a commune and fell into the Manson family, believing this was, and as they thought it was, just another commune. And it represented to them psychologically, and more importantly, mentally, they felt like they were at a home, place where they were safe. And there was a patriarch, somebody they could look up to, that they could that loved them and showed them unconditional love. See, that's what the people don't quite comprehend. The kids were damaged. So the drugs were just background. They weren't anything to do with him softening. They were softened up because they came out of these homes where the parents were strict.
Yeah, they were broken. Absolutely.
So when they got to Manson, they were looking to land, and he basically said, "I'll love you. I'll be your Jesus. I'll be your father." And as he said, he knew
they were broken. He knew they were broken. That's how he took advantage of it.
Yeah,
right.
the drug part, yeah, it's background noise, but
drugs in the 60s, that was par for the course. It wasn't
Now,
like he was like, well, let's do this. It was like, if he didn't do it, see, hear this out. Had he not had drugs, he would have not fit in. He would have looked like
True.
a square. That's
True.
why the drugs were really there, because it was endemic of that generation of the 17, 16, 15, 16, 17 to whatever. They were smoking pot, so acid. I mean, it's part of
the hallucinogens were
but
pretty
the fact
rampant.
that he gave them the sense. Remember, he didn't turn into the murderous son of a bitch until he got kicked out of the gosh darn Wilsons without Dennis Wilson. He felt at a loss. He felt, I'm going to seek revenge on you.
There's a church that I read about that's in relation to his spirituality. It's called the Process Church of Final Judgment. Are you guys familiar with it?
I think I've heard that
Okay.
before. I'm not well-versed
This
on
was a big thing to find, because I knew that his spirituality, I thought it was just him tripping acid listening to the White Album, but it wasn't. The Process Church of the Final Judgment believed that during the end of the world, the Manson, he believed this and taught the followers that they were the reincarnation of the original Christians, and that Jesus and Satan would be reconciled and will come together at the end of the world to judge humanity. They were going to stay out on Spa Ranch and hide out and let all the shit go down, let Helter Skelter fall.
Or in Death Valley. I think you mean Death
Yes.
Valley.
Oh, yeah. That's right. And so, they were traveling like in old school buses, and, they had their little places, and they had colored rugs and pillows in place where seats had been removed. And so basically they made themselves like a little mobile home, kind of tiny house, I guess you'd say. And they were waiting. And these murders were meant as a catalyst to kick off what he called Helter Skelter,
the race war,
which was the race war, exactly, because they believed Jesus and Satan were going to shake hands and judge everybody. So, and he believed that the black race would be dominant, because they're bigger, stronger, faster, according to him, and they were going to wait in the wilderness until it all come about, and then boom, they were coming back, and yay, we're the ones, we're the chosen, we're the original Christians.
Well, his thought process on that was, we'll let them win the race war, but his exact words is, black people cannot rule themselves. So
I remember that.
They will make me their leader, and we will rule over everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
But they kind of saw it coming, just in the news at the time. They didn't have the information like we have now. It's just like all over the place. But when you see on the news, Martin Luther King marching, the Black Panther rise, and all those things going on more and more in the news, that's what made them think that it was time to enact or push the Helter Skelter along, or whatever you want to call it, or just push the narrative of that along. But I still think pushing that narrative, but also in the back of Charles Manson's mind, was the revenge on some of these other people that he was going to use to enact this push in the race war and make it look like one thing, when I think he was actually thinking something else. But again, a lot of the stuff, even what David said, and you mix it all up, it's a perfect storm. When you get young kids like that, you love them and all that, and you could get them to the point where they'll do anything for you out of the fear of something, losing something that they've been wanting their whole lives. And yeah, they go out and they kill for you. But some of the guys that were in the Manson family were just straight out killers. I mean, there's evidence, with Bruce Davis, there were some suicides, but I don't think were suicides that he's always seems to be at. He was one of the lieutenants of the Manson family. And even the big mouth himself, Steve Grogan, Clem there, who was very boisterous and all that, was part of that too. But there's a lot of evidence behind it. And, we see it now, but back then, it's a whole different culture then, but as we learn more and we look back on certain things, and again, we're trying to pick something apart. That's why we're still so into wondering what Manson's mind was about.
Yeah.
As we learn different stuff psychologically, as we learn from other things, and we're able to compound on that and learn a little bit more. Are we ever going to be 100% right? No, it's the same thing in the paranormal. I tell people, you're never 100% right or wrong. We weren't there.
Right.
Speculation on a lot of it, but just in the frame of mind and how people are, I really think, my studies I've done on cults and those, the psychological thing, how they get people to fall in line and all that. It even goes back to the point where Sun Tzu, to get a whole, he was, had this king said he was going to run an army. And he's like, how are you going to run an army? He says, I could run an army with anybody. So the king says, well, I'll give you my concubines here. There's like hundreds of concubines. And he's like, yeah, if you can make an army out of them. So all he did is kill one of them, and the rest of them fell in line.
Oh, yeah.
Fear. And
Yeah.
you could create an
Well,
army.
the way that what was the guy's name that was on Spa Ranch they killed? Blaine?
Oh,
that was Shorty.
Shorty Shea. Yeah.
Gary
He was he was one of the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The way they killed him and threw lime all over him.
Yeah.
I think we lost David. I think he's got a connectivity problem.
They're messing
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah, he was freezing.
He is getting messed with.
He is. Well, there was a woman standing. He was looking at us, so it was on this shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this shoulder, because as we were looking at him, I'm getting confused in the mirror image, and I could only see the bottom of her. He's back.
Yeah.
Let me tell him. I think he's getting situated. David, we got you back. Listen, over there by your sofa, behind you there, right there, there's a woman standing, but I can only see her bare feet, and she's got on a dress that comes about calf length. And she was just kind of standing there, like I think it is Abigail, because her hair is dark brown.
Well, it's definitely Abigail, because when you guys were talking about Jay earlier, I felt Abigail.
Okay, that's it then.
Yeah, it's got to be.
We lost David again.
No,
He's back.
He's there.
The camera, so you can see more of that area.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's beautiful. I saw her, and then I was just talking to them, and you came back, and the two of them had already picked up on it. And Gwen, I know she did, because
Yeah, I just didn't say anything.
yeah, sweet Abby. Abigail, you left quite a legacy. Your family's left a legacy, and we love you. We celebrate your life. We are not celebrating the negativity and evil of the chaos that was the Manson family. We celebrate you being a survivor in spirit and being with David. Hell yeah. I hope you guys have a blast. I hope she's at all the parties.
This is why we got to talk about this stuff. It's an
Yes.
educational thing.
Educational.
That's why I do it. When I give speeches all over the place where I go,
Yes.
it's all a matter of, I talk about this stuff, the psychological side of it, but I want people nowadays to know when they're raising their kids what to look out for, and just people you meet, the red flags and all that, to avoid it, because no matter what you do in your life, no matter how you run your life, by average in your whole life, you'll come across at least 33 serial killers in your life. Directly.
I know. Yeah, that scares me so bad. I've been a victim. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been a victim. I was abducted, missing. And the fact that I had studied, I believe with all my heart, because I had studied Manson my senior year in high school.
Yep.
I don't know why, but I studied the whole thing and what brought them together, and the weirdness, the chaos that brought them all together and made them do the things they did because they were making their own right and wrong. I believe that's one of the reasons why I was smart enough to get away. I really do believe that. Also, Abigail's asking me to tell you about a woman named Susan that you know, and she said you should call her. She's worried about her. What am I saying? What am I talking about?
Not a chance.
What?
If that
What did I
person
do?
wanted to call me, God forbid, that person would reach out to me.
Well, she just brought it up, and she's just like, connect. There's no words really, but she's like, Susan, and then kind
Thanks,
of connect.
Abby. No thanks, Abby. Help me in other
Okay.
ways, Abby, please. You know that.
Maybe she's just wondering what's shaking, you know?
I don't really want to know what's shaking, please.
Okay, we'll let that one go, but you do know
Yeah.
Susan is. Oh my God. Okay, Abby, mind your beeswax, okay?
Abby, help me in other ways than telling me to bother calling that person.
She's,
Seriously, you know what to do. Do something. Get
yeah,
Brian
she
over
is.
here.
Yeah,
Impress
she's.
Brian. There you go. Think about that.
Yeah, you've definitely got her busy. That's stuck.
Oh,
Well, we
good.
all want to
Yeah.
pack up and come over there and hang. You know that.
Well, you're always welcome, you know.
I would
I know.
love it. Beverly Hills is a little bit of a trek for us, and we all work jobs, so maybe we can get all of our gears together and make it over there sometime soon. I'd love it.
Well, next
See
time
how
I
this
go
goes.
to visit my granddaughter Penny told me to tell you hi. She was on the show with us last time.
Oh,
Yes,
great.
it's,
Send her my best, please.
Yeah,
Happy
I definitely.
yeah,
holidays.
she really enjoyed interviewing you.
Oh, God.
She did. Now, okay, here's a fun fact, and it's not so fun, but it's just fun because it's not about him getting people to kill each other. Okay, so Charles Manson's real name is Charles Maddox. His
Maddox.
mother is, yes, and he was. This is so sad. He was sold for a pitcher of beer to a woman who wanted a child, and the
Twice.
uncle, yes, and the uncle had to go track the woman down to get him back. And Manson name came from his stepfather.
Well, let's see. His mother sold him for a pitcher of beer, and his grandmother sold him for a bottle of liquor, and they both pimped him out after he came back.
Yeah, that's what I understand. My dog is just having a fit. I don't know if Abigail's come over here because this dog is going wild. I wish you could see it. I don't know what she's chasing, but she's having a blast. I have a Frenchie, and she's been something today. All right.
She's a
Also,
comedian.
she is a comedian. Also, the California Parole Board said that he had a history of manipulation, controlling behavior, mental illness, which included schizophrenia and paranoid delusional behavior. So if you add all of that and the fact that he's afraid and he wants people to do stuff that he can't do himself,
He wasn't.
and then throw
definitely
drugs
wasn't.
in there.
He
Yeah.
definitely wasn't schizophrenic.
No.
No, he was a
Definitely wasn't
sociopath.
schizophrenic. I think that was a
He was a big
misdiagnosis.
sociopath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exact
misdiagnosis. He was
diagnosis
antisocial
was-
behavior. He did have psychopathy in that nature and narcissistic, wanting to be what he is. That, I don't want to call it Napoleon complex. Felt like he had to be more than what he was, of course. But
Yeah.
I know Blaine was trying to say something. I know he's having a little hard time speaking, but what were you saying, Blaine?
No, it didn't matter.
It matters. We just couldn't
Yeah.
hear you, baby. Out of all of his followers, Susan Atkins really scares me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
Squeaky Fromm still believes in Manson.
She's the one to be afraid of.
Even though she's dead.
Lynette Squeaky Fromm is not dead.
No,
No.
she's alive, living in upstate New York.
Yeah.
In a
Oh,
restricted
wow.
Yeah, she attempted
Well-
to shoot the Gerald Ford, and she sat outside of every Manson trial, every Manson parole hearing.
Isn't that crazy? Oh, God.
She was a devout follower.
And she still believes in Charles Manson that he was Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me mute myself. Holy crap. It's definitely. I'm getting control of myself. I'm sorry. But I did want you guys to know, Blaine's aware, but we were trying to get somebody else on the show to introduce you to Charles Manson's grandson. He actually received Charlie's ashes, and he had the ceremony, the releasing of the ashes as per what Charlie wanted. And Jason he's a straight up nice guy. His name is Jason Freeman. He was a professional boxer, and oh my God, he's amazing. He is a motivational speaker. He helps with youth. He wants to gain some of the rights from Charles Manson's books or whatever he can, and he wants to help with like homeless. I mean, he's got a full business plan of what he would like to do, and he's done a lot of it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I just feel like, he never grew up knowing that he was Charles Manson's grandson.
Well, for one thing, he cannot profit off of a crime that was even committed by a family member, because they have a law saying that they can't profit off of their crimes. So Charlie Manson would have got no rights anyway, or royalties. So, yeah.
I think it was to his music, is what if I remember the writing. I don't know.
Get nothing from anything. Yep.
Well, the law that Blaine's talking about first started with Berkowitz. So David Berkowitz.
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay.
So that's the law that became precedent for anybody that tried to profit off of serial killing, murders, whatever. So why they were.
Yeah. The other grandson's dead. He's dead.
Well, how many?
He had a few kids. Like the one that we knew of from 2 of his marriages. He probably had tons of kids with some of his.
Who the heck knows? Yeah.
Well, there would happen to be a lot of babies at Spawn Ranch, and it is believed that Charlie probably fathered over half of those children, if not more.
Yep. Well, you didn't get into Spawn Ranch unless you slept with Charlie first.
So. Oh my God!
But see, the thing is, it was also men had to sleep with Charlie too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He tried to take that social norm and make it normal for them.
Right.
So, like David said earlier, that was the culture then.
Yeah.
Love was everything. It didn't matter who was what.
Right. That's right. That's right. I got to remember where we are.
Back up. I didn't say that was what. No.
But
what I said was that there was, yes, that kind of thing. No, I didn't. When I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of that. I did know people that were in the industry. My family friends that were in the industry, that were entertainment people, actors, actresses,
right,
designers and stuff, and other people of the like, and models and actors. But those were different than what we're talking about as far as the homosexual side. Manson was trying to break them down, to basically break them down, men and women.
Exactly.
He had orgies, is what you're talking about.
Yep.
He slept with men and women in orgy style such situations. He also had his proclivities because of his experiences being raped in prison.
Exactly.
Right. He was raped. I'm sure it would be easy to overpower him.
Yeah, but you really think about it, if he was raped in prison and what that did to him psychologically, to the person that raped him. If he knew that, then he could turn around and do the same thing to somebody else, knowing how it controlled him. So that's something learned. A lot of times psychologically, people that are raped when they're younger grow up to be rapists too. When I worked at the prison, I had an inmate. He was in a position of control where he was actually young offenders would have to come see him. So, and he would rape them and all that. And a lot of them years later were convicted of rape too, and they blamed it on him because of what he did to them is why they were the way they were.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
it's so sad.
Really is. It is. I don't call it. It's just a learned thing. And when you're young like that, you think that's the norm for that sexual side of things and all that. You just, again, that moment flips in your head with that sexual deviance and all that, what was done to you. You feel like that's the norm of what that is.
So I just for people that are Manson, those that know the facts about about Charles Manson. He had a son named Charles Manson Jr. And he's the one who fathered Jason Freeman.
Yep.
And but Charles Manson, I don't know how the Freeman name came in with Charles Manson Jr., but it did. But Charles Manson Jr. committed suicide when he was about 40. He just couldn't let go and live down, his dad.
Well, he looked exactly like his dad. If you've seen,
yes, he did. Yes, Lord.
The fact that,
yeah,
but he had two sons named Charles.
Yeah, there's Charles Luther Manson.
Yeah. Yep.
And let's see, they don't know anything much about him.
Yeah.
His mother was Leona.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that were involved in all this, kid-wise, even some of the followers to basically, they changed their names legally, and craziness. There was a guy really involved, especially with the supposed suicide of John Haught. The house that they were staying in on the beach was owned by Mark Ross. And Mark Ross ended up, after all this was going down, he claims, I had nothing to do with anything, but he changed his name to Aesop Aquarian. So, and he's still alive over out there in California, still around the beach area and all that. But
Michael Brunner's another child.
Yep.
He was Michael Manson, but he changed his name to Brunner because his mother was a Brunner.
Mary Brunner.
Mary Brunner, right.
That's why it's so hard to find some of these people that, to talk to, because unless, the name was legally changed and you do a deep dive down the rabbit hole, you're not going to know. These people have covered their tracks. It's almost like they're all in hiding and all that.
Yeah. Interesting that Michael's mother was actually implicated in the Gary Hinman murder.
Yeah.
But she received immunity in exchange for testifying against Manson and the followers.
Yeah, but I really think Bruce Davis took out Hinman. I think it was Bruce Davis was really nearby part of that. I think there was
I disagree with you on that.
And then stabbed
I disagree with that because Charlie is the one that cut him first that drew the blood. Yeah. And I believe he had stabbed Hinman and then told other guy to finish him off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Now the LaBiancas.
That's
wow.
Yeah. But wait, back up before we go too far. Diana Lake, who's been here, who was Snake in the family, still has her name.
Okay.
She was actually here at the house 5 years ago now.
Really? Okay. Oh my God. How did that go?
She didn't. You got to remember, she turned state's evidence as well, and she didn't participate in any of the actual murders as we know them. But
I just wondered how. I would just wondered how they would receive her.
Disappearance. I said, I hope to God you guys aren't going to take offense to the fact that this was a part of that. And they said no. They said if it wasn't for her and a few other people, this case would never have been, completed and concluded because they gave evidence.
Yep.
To support the truth of what happened. That's why I find it so funny that people, are questioning what the testimony was of the murders, and including a movie called Manson. That was a documentary shot 6 months after the murders were committed. While he was in jail, and the reporter lived with the family for 6 months at Spawn Ranch, and basically video. He filmed them and interviewed them. And they were just, including Lynette Squeaky Fromm, were very unabashed about what was going on.
No, not at all.
It was an amazing thing. You watch and you go, holy
the documentary won an Academy Award.
Really?
Yeah.
It was called
that
Manson.
documentary won an Academy Award. And the funny thing was the people that filmed it had an acting studio and it wasn't going well. And they started diving into doing these documentaries, and they were originally going to do it on like the motorcycle culture in California, and they met actually Bruce Davis, and he said you should come to the ranch where all these people are, and it led into that, and it turned into something totally different. And one of the other people, Mark Ross was part of it, who I said Aesop Aquarian and all that, so they all got them there, and that's where that documentary was filmed, and there's actually still a cold case that they've tried to grab outtakes of the documentary to try and track down a cold case of a woman that was killed back at that time, 10 days after, I think, John Hott, who was known as Zero in the family, supposedly committed suicide, but they think was a murder. But
he was playing with I just heard the guy that was playing with a pistol and basically was playing Russian roulette, and he blew his brains out. Yeah, they just say because that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, yep.
And I'm not familiar with the case, mind you. I mean, I'm not a Manson aficionado. I just know what I heard, and they go, they're involved. 22, bang, bang.
Yeah, there's a lot heard about being former law enforcement officer. You know, you got to read between the noise. You got to take, the psychology behind it, the people involved, and as you interview and get the chance to see some of these documentaries of these people actually talking. I've heard tapes of Charles Manson talking, and you could tell in the inflection of his voice when he was actually telling the truth or not. But one thing about Charlie, they would say he's crazy, but he was very organized crazy. He knew exactly what he was saying and why he was saying it. You know, he was one of the most manipulative people you'll ever meet. And I think that's why a lot of people followed him, because they're just being manipulated with the charisma that he had.
Well, they said he was a mix between a genius and a lunatic. He was on the thin line.
Yeah. So an amazing.
Sounds like Edmund Kemper in a different way.
Yeah, Kemper was in a different style. I think if Kemper ever had better social skills, I think he probably could have been in that same aspect. I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold up. Did y'all just hear a gunshot go off?
Yes, I did. Yes. What was that?
Something
David, did you drop something?
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry about that. That was this remote dropping.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad you told me because it echoed. It echoed. I was like, "Holy crap, Duck! David Duck!"
Won't be the first time I got shot at.
Yeah, not for you. You've been shot at. I know Blaine has. I'm the only one that hasn't. Even Gwen's been shot at when she was a medic.
Yeah, that's where I got mostly my time was as a medic.
Yeah, they don't like you. They don't want you to help people.
Well, that was the thing back when I was doing it. It was like late 80s, early 90s, and that show Rescue 911 was on, and they thought everyone was going to live. And there was a lot of gang violence in Hartford at the time, and they thought, these guys are going to save them, so we're going to shoot at them. So there's no witnesses.
Oh, my God.
So I have a question for you guys, because you guys are all more familiar than me. Mm-hmm. By the way, do you see the chair in the back? There's a guy with a baseball bat over there. Yeah. And he's just swinging it. But anyway, what happened with somebody's right arm in this whole case? Did anything happen with one of the arms?
Yeah, well, Abigail Folger threw her arm up to defend herself.
Like that. Yeah.
And it got stabbed several times in her arm. I think
and she was there.
Yeah. It was Sharon. Sharon had her arms lacerated from like this with defensive wounds, and I saw.
I think all of them did.
Somebody keeps not hurting, but doing this, like showing me something. So I don't know what that is, but I'm not.
They fought back. That's for sure.
Yeah, like this. They're just holding it, but it's not hurting me. They're just trying to tell me something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I have a very, very gross question, but I have got to know. I've been wanting to know this since I was 17. Did they or did they not cut the baby out of Sharon?
That's why before you even asked it, she said no. Tell her
no. But they did stab the baby several times.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've seen that they didn't. I've seen that they did.
No, they did not.
No, I think it was just a circumstance that they went in there, and I don't think they knew she was pregnant. I think all that stuff happened so fast, just to stab her over and over again. Yeah,
they knew she was pregnant.
The baby was buried with her, right?
Yes. Yes, she sure was.
Good. Okay, because I remember seeing, as I was reading the book, things were just coming out, and I saw her holding the baby, but I didn't see the baby out. So I suppose maybe in the autopsy or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just didn't make sense. I was only getting visual images, and I was trying to put it together, and it just, I was a kid, and I don't know. I was trying to put it together, and then I started looking things up. And, it depends on where you look. Absolutely, yes, the baby was cut out. Absolutely, no. So,
I saw
yeah.
the autopsy photographs. She had
I have
18
too.
stab wounds and
18,
multiple
yes.
and lacerations, which means she had like defensive wounds. We saw it cut here and it continued here, and it cut here. Just like this, you could see with the continuation marks. She had the baby. They said would have survived had they removed the baby at the time. And yes, Jay said, "Can't you see she's pregnant?" Shane said,
okay.
"For the life of my baby, please let me live. My baby, my baby." They very well knew. They also knew that Sharon lived there, as Manson knew in March of '69 when he went to the house to look for
I always
Terry Melcher.
Yeah. I always felt like he picked the house. He'd been there before he knew the layout, like what Blaine said, but it was also because they're so far out, nobody would come help them or hear them. It was just a thing.
They just couldn't figure out where the source of the origination of the screams was, except for the bitch next door to the house who said famously, "I didn't hear anything," which made me believe, "Oh my God, it's in a vortex." It's like, no, the bitch lied. She said she later on admitted she heard it. She didn't want to get involved. Second problem is that Susan Atkins famously said in 1972 in an interview that her marching orders from Manson were to kill everybody at the house next to the Tate house and the house next door, the Sin house, and kill all the people there. But she said we were too tired after we killed everybody at the Tate house to commit any more murders that night.
Oh my God.
No, we were
Now I know we're about to go over, but I have to ask.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the LaBiancas got involved in any of this.
Is
that from Gary Hinman somehow? Is that what it was?
That's Harold True lived next door. The Manson.
Yes.
For a little while, and I know.
Okay.
I think it's just proximity. I think they were going to probably take out Harold True. And LaBiancas live right next door to that house, so there's always familiarity. I don't know why they lived there for the 2 weeks they were there, if they talked to the LaBiancas at a time, if there was like a disrespect of some sort. I don't know. That I don't think it's random. How could it be random if they pick a house right next door to a house they lived at with the family for a little while? And the same thing with the Terry Melcher living with Candace Bergen at the time before Sharon Tate, and him going there looking for Melcher and seeing Sharon Tate and them there. I just don't think it was random. I just think it was familiarity with the houses.
Blaine, you want to go? I know you got something to say. She said so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to put it all together. I'm not like you guys.
I'm just telling everybody our time is up. I've been trying to tell you for the last 4 minutes.
I know it. I know it is, but well, if you got to go, it's okay. I just had to ask because I want to know.
He just looked at me like I was stupid. Like
who did? Me?
Friend.
No, I was like, do you guys not see him? I mean, is it me? Yeah.
I saw him. Everybody's saying what a great show. Keep up the good work. Always so interesting. Thank you guys. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, everybody.
I'm out of here.
I know his voice is about through. Feel better, hun. Bless his heart.
I just wanted to say that the LaBianca house was not the target originally. They went down up Los Feliz Boulevard to the end of Los Feliz Boulevard, down to a street called Roble Vista Drive. They went to the end of the cul-de-sac, and when they got to that house, there was a pair of guard dogs behind the fence that is the intended house. Oh. Coincidentally, that freaking house happened to be literally 200 feet from where my parents had my father's first duplex he built in LA on Roble Vista Drive.
Wow.
And they owned it in '69 and were renting the duplex out literally up the street from where they were. So he went there. They saw the dogs because literally the day after the murders, the day of the discovery of the murders, people went ballistic. Everything changed. People got guard dogs. People went and bought guns. People got security for their homes. It was totally insane here. So when he got to that house and they saw the dogs, they switched and goes, "We're not going here. I'm not dealing with these two dogs." Then they drove down Los Feliz Boulevard and picked that house, that the LaBiancas, because as he said, they were familiar with the next door neighbor. And undoubtedly, Manson must have seen and talked to them, because just like with the list that Manson had, the hit list, people didn't want to admit that they had crossed paths with Manson. But in fact, I guarantee that every single person on that murder list of Manson's had some time in time, had some place in time had crossed paths with Charlie Manson.
Oh yeah,
that's what I believe. At Cass Elliott's house, at the Rocks, at the what was the place? The not the Roxy, the other place. The I forgot the name of the gosh darn club. At one of the clubs in and around Sunset Boulevard, because Dennis Wilson had taken Manson under his wing, and he was kowtowing him around all over Hollywood. And because people wanted to talk to Dennis, there's Charlie. You can't deny Charlie's existence because he's palling around with Dennis.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was looking back at some notes about what I had asked you earlier. I think from what they're saying I can't trust anything that I'm reading, because like what David said, everybody wants a new spin. So that's why I'm asking, right? Okay. So according to this source, they're saying that they were so tired, like you said, from the Tate murders, they couldn't do all the killing that they were meant to do. And I just don't think Charlie was impressed. So he marches into the LaBianca house and it starts
Charlie said, "I didn't like the way it looked. I want it more witchy." Remember
more
this.
witchy, more
Charlie
witchy. Yes.
See, people don't realize Charlie went to the goddamn house and saw the murders after the murders were committed.
Oh, he did.
Oh, yes. And here's the kicker. My friend's a film producer, worked with Vincent Bugliosi on a production called George W. Bush for Prosecution and Murder. And Bugliosi, I talked to my friend, my producer, I said, next time you talk to Vincent, ask him who he thinks went to the goddamn house after the murders. And then later on, he came back as well. Vincent doesn't believe that Charlie did, but he knows that somebody did. I said, and why doesn't Vincent believe that Charlie went back to the murders himself, but would let somebody else go? And then I said, tell Vincent that I think he's wrong. And I said, and Vincent was funny, goes, well, Charlie wouldn't have gone back because he was afraid of the police. I said, police what? All you have to do is drive up Cielo Drive proper. If there's no gosh darn police on the street, which there would have been, blocking and barricading the entire street, you would have known immediately that there's something was up. But obviously there wasn't anything up because they didn't discover the murders till 8 a.m. the next day.
Right.
And Manson
so the coast was clear.
Vincent said, well, we know somebody moved the bodies. I said, whose bodies? He said, well, we know that Sharon and Jay's bodies were moved into the backyard. Mm-hmm. I said, how's that? He goes, because at the fucking front door, there was a pool of blood that only matched Sharon and Jay's blood type. And then in the backyard, there's on the lawn, stained droplets of blood that match Sharon and Jay's bodies, but their bodies aren't there. And I said, well, do you think they walked the hell out the front door, sat there for a few seconds while they were bleeding out, and then marched off to the goddamn backyard, and then decided to come back in the house? He goes, no. And I said, who put the rope around the neck of Sharon Tate connecting to Jay Sebring? Because Susan Atkins didn't describe that in her testimony of how she left the crime scene, because she didn't put the rope around Sharon Tate's neck and over the rafter connecting to Jay Sebring. Manson did.
Yeah. And the thing is, I still think the pigs wasn't, he's right. He's right, you know. Manson was so controlling that, they went and did the murders, but you're right. When you're setting something up as a helter-skelter and trying to get people to believe it's a race war, if it doesn't look like you think it should look, you want to stage that crime.
What's the purpose of it? You got to have it.
You got to stage a crime scene just like that. And he was probably waiting in a car right nearby, waiting for this all to happen. That's why it happened. We don't know that because we weren't there again, but there's speculation, the psychosis of a Charlie Manson that's controlling like that, and I think he's the one, or one of them wrote the pigs on the door and the rest of the stuff.
Here's the thing. We do know what time that took place because there's witness testimony from in the hills around here. They have an illegal immigrant that was living in one of the houses and was their house servant. And he was 16 years old, but told the police that he heard two men arguing between 1:30 and 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Another neighbor said the same thing. They said they heard these two men arguing. And that fits the time long after the murders, because the murders took place after midnight, shortly after midnight. By 12:20, it was over. It was done. Furthermore, Manson tells them the next night, I'm going to go with you to make sure you do it right. How would he have any goddamn concept of the disposition of the crime scene? Because they didn't take any Polaroid photographs to say, Charlie, here's how it looked. But Charlie came back because he was such a sycophantic control freak. And again, as a sociopath, he had in his twisted mind of being a director of what he was trying to instigate. So you're right. He wanted the dress settings to be just framed the way he wanted it to be.
That makes complete sense.
That's
and that is truly nasty. My God.
Leo's got W-A-R carved into his stomach. Yeah. And I saw the fucking picture. I'm like,
had the fork stuck in their stomach and then had pigs on the,
And the fork sticking out of his stomach as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation with that. They were higher ups, the old silver spoon, the thing. There was like some connotation with the fork from, especially with the White Album and all that, and those connotations with it, and just the Skelter side of it. Yeah,
we were talking about the front door. Here's the information. The front door from the Sharon Tate house on CeeLo Drive is now at Nothing Studios in New Orleans. Trent Reznor.
That's old. It was sold.
Oh, that's old?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that it sold for like $32,000 or was.
No, Trent Reznor gave it to somebody, picked it up, and that guy in turn put it up for auction. And 40 bidders on it, and went for $127,000. And nobody knows it right now. It's secret. So.
Who cares?
It's intense.
I don't want that piece.
But people like murderabilia. There's such a big market for murderabilia. It's crazy. It kind of makes, I do have friends that do have collections of that. But when you're involved in the paranormal, you do have a lot of different aspects of the paranormal that people are in. I do actually have a friend that has a fork from the Jeffrey Dahmer house when he was arrested. But, those are the types of things. And I try and help people with my background, with profiling, with serial killers. It's like I look into a lot of this stuff for people just to make sure it's something authentic or something that's not going to affect them.
Well, since we're running over, I guess we ought to shut up now. I would very much like to have a part
two. Just to put this out there.
Please.
What if Charlie Manson got his wish and Dennis Wilson had fulfilled his dream and but what he had said to Charlie, and not had broken that agreement? Because had Charlie been a little less impetuous and a little less impatient and waited for Dennis's rise to fame during the Pet Sounds album's release, where everybody was asking for Dennis Wilson to produce their album. Had he gotten that, I have a feeling we wouldn't be talking here today about this murder that happened down the street.
I think you're right.
I think
that leads to something.
That was like the powder keg that blew everything apart. Had he not done that, because you look at the downfall of him, and had he just waited, but he is so fucking impatient. He just couldn't just sit and wait for this to go.
There's always that conduit that I talk about when somebody is already on the brink. That one thing that makes that screw turn in the head to change. And I think that's what it was. That final disrespect.
The straw that broke the camel's back, proverbially.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Too bad.
Well, he might be a Sean, Diddy Combs. We don't know.
That's the funniest tangential thing I've heard all night. My God.
Tell you.
I mean, he did the same thing. That's pretty rough, isn't it? It's true, though. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm going to sign out talking about healing. We've been talking about broken people, broken lifetimes, broken hearts, people living with pain. And so this is a thought for you. If you have pain in your life that you're dealing with, healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. You are not broken. You're not ruined. It means the damage no longer controls your life.
Exactly.
And if we could have claimed that back in 1968, when all of these wheels started turning, we wouldn't be here tonight. And I hope that it didn't disturb you, but I hope you learned something from it. You guys have any last thoughts?
No, learned a lot. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. A lot of people enjoyed the show. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.
I blame Dennis Wilson.
I'll go with you on that one.
Nice meeting you, David. You guys,
good night, everybody.
For our next episode, whatever that'll be about.
Yeah, next episode. Yes, we'll get together and we'll do a quick release. Okay.
Excellent.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.